always thought my life had settled. That at 70, the chapters were mostly written. I lived quietly in a little house near the Washington coast, surrounded by old furniture, fading wallpaper, and the lingering scent of salt from the sea breeze. My name is Clara. I turned 70 last winter, and since Harold, my husband, passed away 7 years ago, silence has become a steady companion. My days were filled with soft habits. Morning tea at 7:30 sharp. A walk to the end of the gravel lane by 9. I would pause by the mailbox, never expecting anything but always hoping for something. Perhaps a letter or a forgotten bill. The birds were more faithful visitors than anyone I knew. I'd watch them, sometimes pretending they brought messages from Harold. I knew how strange it sounded, but in loneliness, even silence takes on a voice. Harold had built our home. He was a carpenter, gentle with his hands and his words. We were married for 42 years. The loss didn't come suddenly. Cancer crept in like a fog, robbing him of breath, appetite, then memory. I was with him every step, but when he died, it felt like the world had forgotten I existed. What stirred things again was a painting. A large, unframed canvas tucked away in the attic. I hadn't been up there in years, but one stormy afternoon when the lights flickered and the rain poured, I climbed those dusty stairs looking for candles. Instead, I found pieces of myself. The painting wasn't finished. A landscape Harold had started in the last year of his life. It was vibrant, more so than I remembered him being in those final months. A meadow, a cottage, and a woman walking into the light. I stared at it for a long time, tears threatening but never quite falling. Then I did something I hadn't done in decades. I began to paint. Started small. Just watercolors in the kitchen. But day by day, I'd find myself lost in color. Lost in memory. I began pulling Harold's old supplies from the closet. The brushes, the palette knives, the worn apron that still smelled faintly of turpentine and cedar. Painting didn't just reconnect me with Harold. It brought me back to myself. My hands shook at first. My eyes weren't what they used to be. But as I painted, something stronger than technique took over. Emotion. Every stroke was a memory. Every shade a season of my life. I painted the apple tree we planted in 78, the porch swing we used to sit on with our coffee, the view of the harbor from our bedroom window. Neighbors started noticing. Marjorie from down the lane stopped by with muffins and stared wide-eyed at one of the canvases drying on my porch. "Clara," she said, "you have to show these." I laughed. I hadn't even posted a photo on Facebook in 5 years. But that comment lingered. The idea of sharing something scared me, but it also sparked me. I took photos of my paintings. I emailed one to my daughter Anna, who lived in Oregon and hadn't visited in 2 years. She called me crying. "Mom, these are beautiful. Why didn't I know you could do this?" I didn't have a good answer. I think I'd buried that part of me so deeply that even I had forgotten it was there. Anna came the next weekend. She helped me set up an Instagram account. At first, I didn't understand why anyone would want to scroll through strangers' photos. But then the comments started rolling in. "Your work reminds me of my grandma's garden. I haven't painted since I lost my husband. You've inspired me. Please keep sharing. You give us hope." I sat in my armchair one night, reading those comments until the sun came up. Strangers were finding pieces of themselves in my brushstrokes. I had spent so long believing my story was quiet, closed, forgotten. But now I realized it had simply been paused. I began to wake up with purpose. Every day held the possibility of creation. I painted while the kettle boiled. I painted while waiting for the laundry to dry. I painted through grief, joy, even fear. Because putting it on canvas meant I was still alive. That my story mattered. Soon a small gallery in town reached out. They had seen my Instagram page and asked if I'd consider exhibiting a few pieces in their fall show. I nearly dropped my phone. I called Anna. "Do people even go to art shows anymore?" She laughed. "They will now." The opening night arrived. I wore a pale blue dress Harold once complimented during a dance in 1983. The gallery was filled with people, young, old, couples holding hands, mothers carrying children. And there, on the far wall, were my paintings. I stood near the back, not saying much. Just watching. Watching people lean in, take photos, nod slowly, wipe away tears. One woman approached me with trembling fingers. "You're the artist?" "Yes," I said quietly. She smiled. "Thank you. I lost my husband last year. Your work. It helped." In that moment, I knew Harold would have been proud. That I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was connecting. Living. Sharing. I still have tea at 7:30. I still walk to the mailbox. But now I often find letters. Handwritten ones. From people who saw my story in a gallery or online. They write about grief, memory, resilience. They write because they know I'll understand. And I do. At 70, I found something I never thought I'd feel again. Meaning. And it all began with an unfinished painting.